black DNA in your blood and you know it, or even don't. Just can I get some love for my brother?
Melanin.
I have a letter from my blood to yours. So hear me out, or at least heed to some of my words' worth. I write to you in utter distress and an immense anger that came screaming to me through all the ancestors past and passed me these words to give to you. You, my son, my nephew, my prince, my king, my husband, and my father. As sacred blood bleeds through and out of me, I cannot forget what I am made from. Then how could I ever forget where I came from? And I just find it amazing how long lost you seem blinded to all the maps that imprint your essence on her, the black female you have tried to forsake and leave for death. How quick you seem to forget who begged you to breathe your first breath and who prayed at your graves after the stones found you dead. And yes, I have wept all the while in between at the cause of your hand. The ignorant insecurities. The empty throne still sits bare, but willing to seat you, feed you, trust you, and make companionship again. We seem more divided now as a people, man and woman, almost viewed upon as two different nations. We don't even speak the same language, and among us all, children grow up backwards. Never realized they could have been so much more than this poor set of examples that teaches you nothing but to hate your own skin and kin from the inside out, to hate the very matter you are made of. A blessing to know that even if you wanted to, even your skin you could never take off, because I feel in my heart soul, if you were to get a chance to switch your blackness to match that white mark you are trying to harbor in a vessel made for and from God's, when did you turn the other cheek at us? Was it when, white man, your massa tore you down and robbed you of your name, your sanity, and maybe even your virginity, as he broke you in before the eyes of your very children and his very children, who by the rape of their mothers became siblings, carrying both the good you were born with and then the bad seeds planted in by evil dealings where even the devil would turn a blind eye to it? Was it then? Was it then that you turned the other cheek the other day, the last day of your soul, that part that humiliated me and punished me for the punishment we have both received? Did you forget who carried the other half of the lashes on your back? Do you remember those days when we both wept and bled out as we buried more children after we saw them being sold off, used as swamp treats in alligator-games? Do you remember? I remember when I worked out 3 kids and 2 jobs, walking to work as the bus boycott left me unbothered to have to walk into your hand, clutched and smelling of moonshine, gave me a black eye because you were left out of the unemployment line, walked around cursed at the shade of your color, feeling the shame in not being able to provide for the wife you made a mother. I remember when I was your punching bag for practice in a fight you would never win because you failed to see that to rise as a man, you needed to stand by your woman again. I remember a promise to never leave you, and blood is hard to wash away. Still, you tried to bleach me out. Started weighing out the better luck chances if you would start on the interracial dating, looking for some brightness in your life. You whored and paid the price for sharing white man's spotlight, left you dangling from trees. And me, the one you left to cry, now got to bury your scorched and mangled body to collect and pray God's mercy would find you in the afterlife. I prayed for you. I remember didn't have enough to spare to make a decent grave for you, leaving our children off to wonder how to praise you right, as they barely seen you there, but they remember the last time they never got to see you again. In fear of becoming men and to realize the same fate, how crooked their paths in life were. They could never find shelter, never reached out to love, and never ever planted a seed that would grow into trees. Bushweed is all the legacy they ever had a chance to leave behind, never knew how to hold a wife. I remember how the street later ended their lives. Our daughters remember How they roamed around the streets to find you, unwanting of their love, but seek only to plant seeds upon seeds you would never look back to or ever water. How their names were changed from Susan, Jackie, Ophelia, and Diane to whore, bitch, slut, and a tramp. Respect never got a chance to ever breathe around them, and how quickly were they beaten, raped and silenced, left uneducated, and compelled to marry the state because the last name of her could only be a welfare check after Charity birthed 6 babies. She could never be caught with a man lest it be her son swelling on to his 18th birthday, shoot out on the streets, and his sisters left behind to collect his departed from soul leftover body. This Passover Thanksgiving will taste bittersweet. His children, boys bound for an institution of corrections, and his daughters PhD'd in the queens of a twerk of the streets. Now, as a grandmother, what is left for me to say? I still pray each day for the flock to find its sheep, and until that day, our old bones will cry and always remember those days when you, my son, you left your blood, you left me. But the throne still sits bare, willing to seat you, feed you, trust you, and make companionship again. See, I remembered never to forget you. My son, my nephew, my prince, my king, my husband, and my father. See, I can still see the resemblance. It's written all over my kin. Signed sincerely, your daughter, your cousin, your princess, your queen, your wife, and your mothers.